This is the Fimbul Fight Picks Podcast. Get ready for the best and most accurate predictions in the world of MMA. Let's get started. Here is your host, Anders.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fimbul Fight Picks Podcast. I'm going to be covering UFC 276, the prelims. I'm going to be breaking it down with my in-depth breakdowns. Going forward, I will probably be having the prelims on Thursdays and the main card on Fridays. I'm going to be trying to be a bit more consistent. Last time was more like a test episode, but now we're really going to get into it because now I'm catching up on tape. I'm getting ahead of it, and I feel like I have a lot to share. As I said in my last episode, I really want to provide you the most in-depth breakdowns out there. I'm not going to be super flashy. I'm not going to be, a lot of guys are high energy in this thing. And I feel like a lot of people are just missing the nuances in this game. A lot of people say that it's us against the boogies. Partly right, but it's also bettors against bettors. So by listening to my podcast, I hope I can give you an edge. And if you want my betting tips, my live bets, and more of my betting knowledge, then visit the link in the description or go to my website, fimbulfightpicks.com. Anyway, let's get into this. And with the first fight, we got 𝐤𝐥𝐤𝐞 versus Juljia Stoliarenko. So I see a lot of different opinions on this fight. Like, I saw a lot of love for Clark at first. Like, the betting odds shortened on her quite a lot. And now a lot of people are betting Stoliarenko. So if you start with Stoliarenko, she's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The interesting thing about this fight is that when Stoliarenko faced against Davis, she only got taken down because she threw a really sloppy front push kick in round 1. And then in round 3, she got taken down because Davis kicked her leg out. So the interesting thing in that fight for me is, if she hadn't gotten kicked in round 3, if she hadn't done that stupid push kick, right, in round 1, she might have won the fight. She might have never gotten taken down because Davis never tried to take her down. So I feel like that's an important factor to consider, because I feel like maybe some Clark bettors are just thinking, oh shit, look, she lost to Davis. Clark can probably do the same thing, right? And she's going to lose. But I don't think it's that simple. Just to explain, I'm going to be going through my guide on how to break down fighters. I'm going to go through each category, so it's very easy for you to listen to. Why I do it this way is because if a fighter faces a striker this time, next time they might face, a pure kicker, you can maybe even come back to this podcast, or of course listen to a new podcast, and you can use this knowledge to see, okay, have we some info about, is this fighter good against a kicker? If you do not, then we could go try and find some tape for that. We can try and find some information about that, right? And if you already got information about that, great. That's time we can spend on another fight. It's time where we just need to do a quick refreshing on this fight, right? That's the whole idea. A lot of podcasts, they talk a lot without really saying anything. I'm going to be trying to keep it fairly simple. Maybe I don't have much for each category, but that both shows me what I know and what I don't know. So any feedback, of course, are always welcome, but let me get into this. I'm going to be doing this for each fighter. So if you look at Stoliarenko, how reliable she is, I definitely think she's a reliable fighter, despite her having 4 losses in the UFC now. She pretty much does the same thing every fight. She looks for subs from the guard, mostly armbars. She's a solid clinch fighter, and striking-wise, it's a lot of just single shots, really. Her cardio, I feel like heavy clinching drains her. Like versus 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿, she seems to get a little bit tired. But she's already slow, so it's like already a weakness of her. Her striking defense, Stoliarenko's she will circle a little bit on the outside. Versus 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿, she's able to throw down in some hook battle if she's forced to, but she's very hittable. Her defense it's mostly for me that people are afraid of going down with her because she has this armbar from the guard position. If you look at the strikes that she's especially weak to, I feel like it's the calf kicks that Davis exposed her to in round 3. Her kicking defense, I've not seen any kicking defense from her whatsoever. Her takedown defense and get-up game, I have not seen any zero like zero get up game because she's content, with just lying on her back the entire fight and just sub hunt, which is fine. And she could definitely catch Clark in this one. That's why, if you bet Clark, you're taking a big risk because she could definitely end in getting armbarred here. If you look at Stoliarenko's submission defense, she got subbed by 𝐤𝐤𝐤 with a rear naked choke. She had her back taken, a body lock, and usually it's not too hard to defend those, but she just couldn't defend it versus 𝐤𝐤𝐤. That said, she had gotten beaten up pretty bad, so that might have been a factor to why she was so easy to submit in that fight, but it's still a red flag to me. If you look at her offensive striking, if you want to check that out for yourself, look at her versus Alexis Davis in round 2. It's mostly just single shots, like, a left hand, a right hand, so on. It's just really weak striking. She doesn't really have much of a striking game. Now, if you look at that kicking game, she has some low kicks, a body kick, but sometimes, she's stupid. Like, she would go for a push kick like she did versus Davis, got taken down straight away in round 1, or like she did this stupid spinning back kick versus Yana, and then she did a spinning back kick in round 2 versus Yana as well, and Yana got a clinch like she wanted. It was just so stupid. Like, why are you doing this? As a little rule of thumb, guys, if you see fighters do spinning shit, it's a red flag. Like Chris Weidman versus Rockhold cost him the entire fight, right? Does she have good optics to win decisions, like good forward pressure? No, especially not when she's just content laying on the ground, sub-hunting all day, because that does not get rewarded unless you get the submission. Now in the clinch, I feel like almost that it was Yana Kunitskaya that taught her how to clinch, because after that fight, she was, diving for underhooks, like Yana showed her. Yana was just better there, because in the 𝐤𝐤𝐤 fight, she was diving for unders, she had good control. If she got reversed by 𝐤𝐤𝐤, she didn't accept that. Like, she would reverse straight away. She landed some good knees, and overall, she's a solid clinch fighter. Her head position in the clinch, I didn't really see any good head position. Good head position is just pretty much when you're pushing your head like really tight to the fighter's the chin, because it's very uncomfortable to have it pushed like that. Head movement, pretty much non-existent. Footwork, she likes to be on the outside, like circling. It's okay. She's a bit slow. Of course it's not high level, but she does move her feet. She's not completely stationary. Her offensive Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as said, mainly arm bars. All 7 of her submissions are arm bars. She's good at it. She failed versus Davis. She failed versus Yana, and she failed versus 𝐤𝐤𝐤. She's really only submitted Invicta girls. So question is, can she submit Clark? Maybe, I could definitely see Clark be the type of fighter to fall into a submission, but it is mostly, the worst girls that she submitted. She hasn't really submitted anyone who's been really good or known what to do on top. Now, if you look at the takedowns, can she get it to the ground? She had a really nice feint versus 𝐤𝐤𝐤, and then she shot into a double leg. And in a clinch, she may also try to go for double legs or singles. But when she did that versus 𝐤𝐤𝐤 was just too strong. I mean, you can see that on her. She's probably eats her vitamins, right? She's just too strong. But she definitely does try. If she fails her takedowns, besides people just being too strong like 𝐤𝐤𝐤, is when she shoots too far out. I haven't seen too much of this, but I have seen it occasionally. But most people who tries to take you down, like most fighters like that, they will shoot too far out at one point. Her top game, top control, I haven't seen any of that. I only seen her on her back. Her chin and recovery, her chin seems okay, but she gets busted up easily because she just has no real head movement. But she's fairly doable though. And fight IQ, I feel like she has bad fight IQ, straight up bad fight IQ, because when she did not get the submission versus Davis in round 3, right? She could have tried to get up, and she could have tried to win standing, because she won the second round versus Davis, and just because she got kicked down, she accepted being on the bottom the entire fight instead of trying to get up. That's just bad fight IQ to me. Her win conditions, usually just the armbar, or she can be in the clinch, possibly some decision, or I'll get it down there. So, how do you beat her? How do you beat such a fighter like Juljia Stoliarenko? Well, she's weak to strikes, right? Her striking defense and striking offense overall sucks, and anyone with good solid takedown defense can likely beat her. And someone who on top, if it goes to the ground, if you're on top, if you know how to avoid an armbar, then you're gonna win. And a lot of fighters knows how to avoid an armbar. I bet on Tavares versus Poliana Viana, and she trains with Mackenzie Dern, so of course she knew how to defend that. She's really high level herself, but like Viana, she's a good fighter from a guard position. Like she got a lot of submissions like that, but again, she only submits bad fighters. When she faced 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞, and that's a few years ago, and when she faced Hannah Cifers, she could not submit them because they were patient, they knew what to do. So it's just not a good win condition to have to submit someone from a guard position. I mean, it is a little bit like you can say Vanessa Demopoulos last week, but like she had more win condition because she has some forward pressure, she has different submission attempts. She's really sneaky. She can also roll for a leg, but Stoliarenko just cannot do that really. So, if you take a look at Jessica Rose Clark here, so Jessica Rose Clark, she's a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a little bit unsure how good her chin is really, but I feel like she can be broken mentally quite easily. Like in some fights, it seems like she wants to cry after a fight is over. Like versus when she faced Penny Kianzad. How reliable is she? Like early on, she would go for clinches, body lock takedowns. She doesn't land too much ground and pound, I feel like, but she has a lot of control. She likes to turn her opponents towards the mat, which is nice. So like when she goes for a takedown, you know, she turns towards the mat, which is good because it's harder to get up. And if you get taken down, you want to try and get to the cage. So she does a good job of that. She also has solid takedown defense overall, but as I said, I just feel like she's weak mentally. If you look at the cardio, I feel like she would look a lot worse cardio-wise if you bust her up. Like she just seems to give up. Like it's like that, and that can affect her cardio too if you give up, right? Her defense, striking defense, she's good footwork, but she seriously lacks head movement. Like she's easy to hit. Kick defense, not seen any of that. Her takedown defense and get up game, she has solid takedown defense. However, like when she faced Alpa, she was able to easily level change. But even though she did that, like Clark has shown a tendency that she can sprawl. You know, she's good at getting back up against the cage at least, and she also uses underhooks, which is solid to do that. Like when she faced Sarah Alpa there, Alpa went so hard for these takedowns, and overall I was quite impressed by Clark. I think she did fairly well there. Now, if you look at her submission defense, which of course is going to be important in this fight versus Stoliarenko, she got tapped really easily by 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞. But I feel like I don't feel like that's going to be the situation in this one, because that was a different kind of armbar, you know, where she was putting herself, 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞 got the arm locked and could just lean backwards. I feel like when she's on top, she's usually aware of what to do and so on. Her striking, she seriously lacks a jab. She has no jab whatsoever. Her biggest issue is like that she likes to rush in a straight line, right? No head movement, and she will land, you know, like 1 or 2 shots, a combo. Like she has solid footwork overall, I feel like, right? But the issue is that she just rushes in a straight line, so it's just really easy to predict. So overall, like she's a bad striker. Any decent striker, like just mediocre sort of medium striker, like for instance like Penny Kianzad, is gonna beat her. Like she's okay versus very, very low level. She has some volume at least, which she might be able to use versus Stoliarenko. She also landed a nasty knee versus Alpa. They thought that was illegal, but it wasn't. Her kicking game, she has a low kick, she has a left high kick and a left body kick, but overall she's really not much of a kicker. You're not going to be seeing her kick too much. I haven't seen her try to catch kicks of her opponents. That would be an idea though, because then she can get takedowns, but I haven't seen that. So does she have good or bad upticks such as forward pressure to win decisions? It's important to look at this, guys, because so many fights goes to decision, more and more fights even. So you want to look at this. And no, she does not. Like her face looks defeated. She looks tired. She seems weak late in the fights if it doesn't go her way. Like she just seems to mentally crumble. She's not good for winning decisions like that, I feel. She has to be really dominant, a lot of takedowns and so on. Like sort of like what she did versus Jalin Edwards. Now, if you look at her clinch game, she uses underhooks, she reverses. She didn't show this versus Penny though, like she had no urgency. They only briefly clinched though in that fight, so you can't be too harsh on her about that. But the one time they clinched, I just did not see any urgency whatsoever. She did, however, show it versus Edwards, where they reversed each other a lot. She usually likes to use this body lock if she takes you down. Like versus Edwards, what she got with body lock, right? And she would turn Edwards towards the middle of the octagon, which is a really good sign because it's so much harder to get up from the middle of the octagon. So she does a good job of this in using momentum. In the clinch though, I haven't seen any good head position from her. Head movement wise, a little bit side to side sometimes, but really nothing special. She's really easy to hit. Footwork, I believe she has decent footwork. Like, she moves well, she never stands still, she will move around, she will circle around. That's actually pretty decent. The type of submission she goes for, pretty much just a rear naked choke. Her takedowns is a body lock from a clinch as a go-to move. She clinches very early on usually. But when she has takedowns, she doesn't have much activity from top. Like, a few punches maybe. That's it. So often they might be, my ref might stand them up. But she does go for a lot of takedowns. And she goes for control over submission on the ground. If she fails a takedown, I haven't really seen her fail takedowns too much. I just feel like she's a little bit limited in the way she gets people down, because she's not too physical. So the body lock is a good way to do it because you can use some momentum. But I'm not really seeing her like be good at shooting doubles or singles from the outside and so on. When she gets people down, if you look at her top game, top control, her top control is okay. Like she said, she doesn't land too much. Versus Edwards, who has shitty takedown defense, she got a lot of takedowns, but she just didn't do much on top. And if she would just throw a few punches, it would be so much better, but she just doesn't from what I've seen. If you look at her chin and recovery, I've not seen that really either, like how good it is. I just seen that she seems to be defeated sometimes in her eyes. Like, her eyes are wide open, she looks tired, it looks like she's just giving up, like crying. Like, she did that versus Penny. She just looks so sad, and it's just not a good view for the judges. It's just a bad optic. So, fight IQ-wise, it's okay. I feel like if she should have a better fight IQ, she should land some more punches on the ground. But she doesn't. So, her fight IQ is, like, mediocre, I feel like. And versus 𝐥𝐤𝐤, she messed that up. But I had a better 𝐥𝐤𝐤, so I'm quite happy about that. But no, I wouldn't say she has a good fight IQ. I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad. I just say it's kind of average thing. Don't really value this too much. So is she a game fighter? No, not at all. What are her win conditions? Pretty explanatory from what I said. Takedowns, top control, get the body lock takedown, and eventually maybe a rear naked choke. If she's gonna win standing with striking, she has to be versus super low strikers, like low level strikers. Any decent or just mediocre striker is gonna be her. So how do you beat a person like Clark here? Solid takedown defense, a decent striker as said. On the ground, like I feel like Clark is okay at being the hammer, but not so much the nail. Like, I don't think she would last long if it doesn't go her way. She just has some quitter vibes to me. So, if we take a look at the odds here, let's take a look here. Alright, so Jessica Rose Clark versus Maycee Barber. Now, that's a fight that's really interesting to me. That's one of my favorite fights actually in this card. If you start with Jessica 𝐼, what I don't know about her, I'm a little bit unsure how good 𝐼's chin is, really. She seems fairly tough and doable, like pretty game. She got KO'd by Valentina, but that was due to a perfect head kick. That's okay. I don't think she's going to get knocked out by Barber. Like, Barber had this reputation of being some super dangerous knockout artist. Like, her finish in the distance, like inside the distance pops, is just insane, like versus Roxanne Modafferi. But I feel like people at my bookies have woken up to, okay, Barber is not that strong. She's a bit of a bully like Marek, but she's not super dangerous. How reliable is 𝐼? She's an aggressive fighter overall. She will land a lot of low kicks. In the clinch, she uses underhooks, knees. She does get tagged a little bit, but even though she does have some, in and out head movement, her corner is pretty decent. The corner will tell her what to do. But one downside to Jessica 𝐼 is that she's just like, okay, like when the corner tells her something. I don't feel like she's really listening. That's a red flag to me. She's mainly a decision fighter. She likes to fight long, like a bit far out, but aggressive. That's the overall really quick summary of her. Now, cardio-wise, her cardio seems solid, but I feel like if you grapple a lot with her, she may not like that. She may slow down a little bit. Her striking defense, she has some in and out head movement. She does still get tagged though. She moves really well in the octagon though. Like she will circle around. She's never stationary. She can be a bit too aggressive though sometimes, I feel like, which can be exploited. If you look at the strikes she's weak to, the head kick by Valentina obviously. The right hand from Maya also seems to land really well. So that's important. We keep that in mind when we talk about Barber. Does Barber have head kick? Does she have a right hand? That's already important now. Because those strikes she's weak to. See how it all fits together like this? So, kicking defense, I know we on that. I know I haven't really seen her check kicks or anything like that. Her takedown defense and get-up game, usually it's her who wants it on the ground. So, I have no real read there. But she sometimes have been taken down after she's been kicking. Like, she got taken down a lot by 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞. This guy, right? She would throw a big punch, and 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 would just duck under, level chains, go for a knee, get a takedown. It could be, or she would get the takedown, or sometimes when 𝐿 would go for a knee because she likes throwing these knees whenever people tries to clinch her, she would get taken down too. Her corner told her to stop using those knees. She also got taken down by 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 as well, and that was when she was coming forward, and 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 could just time it, boom, give a double leg. But her get-up game is decent. She doesn't just accept being on the bottom, so that's a good thing. Now, if you look at her submission defense, I don't have any read really on that. I haven't really seen that. Like last time she was submitted was due to a rear naked choke back in 2011. I don't think it's going to be important this fight, but as I said, I'm just trying to give you guys as much info as possible, these in-depth breakdowns, because then we can reuse it. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to do things. Most people don't want to do notes. Most people don't want to do in-depth stuff, but this is so useful to get this whole picture, and it's especially good for live betting. As I said, if you want to live bet, join my team here, join my live betting group, because live betting is a gold mine, and that's where small stuff like this matters, because you can see what are they doing, you can see if that added something new to the game and so on. So the kicking game, she has a good low kick. She uses it a lot. She also has a high kick and a body kick. But her low kicks is what she uses the most, and she did this especially versus 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞, who's a slow fighter, who did slow down, makes good sense. So that was a good fight IQ. Does she catch kicks, or in some way try to counter when opponents kicks? Like when an opponent kicks, right? You can try to catch it, you can try to counter it, but just checking it, or you can throw a punch yourself, for instance, right? And no, I haven't really seen that. But she's had her own kicks caught, as mentioned, versus 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞. In the clinch, she has a good left or right underhook, pretty much always. She will keep it like that, really nice. She uses knees, excellent head position. She always keeps her head really tucked tight to the opponent's chin. She's not good at getting takedowns though. She's just too weak. Head position, I said, is excellent head position. Head movement, some in and out, forth and back head movement, but even though her head movement is kind of okay, she just still gets tagged a lot. But she does move her head, so maybe the punches is not going to land too hard on her. Footwork, she circles around, moves well, a lot of good forward pressure with it. Offensive Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, submissions and so on, none of that whatsoever. Takedowns, usually single and double legs is what she's going to go for, but she just doesn't get it. She's just too weak. Or her takedowns will be so telegraphed, versus 𝐃𝐨𝐤, right? She would shoot so far out, it's just way too easy to spot. If she fails takedowns, it's because she's too weak in the clinch to do it, essentially. Her chin and recovery, she seems doable and tough. She's not a fighter who just quits. She's fairly game. Her fight IQ, I'd say, is average. If she would just listen to her corner, I'd probably say it's good, but as it is now, she's just average. Is she a game fighter? I'm not necessarily say I think she's a game fighter, but she's tough. So, what are the win conditions for a girl like Jessica Eye? As aggression, and then win by decision. That's her go-to way to win like this. What are the lose conditions for a girl like Jessica Eye? How do you beat her? Outstrike her. Be a more aggressive fighter with a good cardio. Pressure her. Because I feel like she can get broken. And otherwise taken down like 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 did and then control her. You probably won't submit her because she's pretty decent on the ground, but you can at least get some control. Now, I always said aggressive with good cardio, right? And Barber is a bit of a slow starter, but she's aggressive. She can pressure her. And she's getting better at that. So, let's talk about Maycee Barber now. Alright, so Maycee Barber, just a quick summary. She's 24 now, so she's not in this age of 23 years old and below. You know, usually I like to fade these girls. I have faded Barber a lot. I faded her with Roxanne Modify. I took her plus 700. I thought she should be my favorite. It's a crazy line. I remember back then I wanted to go 5 units. Didn't have the guts to do it though. But everybody was, like nearly everybody was going on and on about Barber. And you could tell they hadn't done that research really. But Barber is no longer fade material. She's a physical bully fighter. She likes to use the clinch. She likes to go to the head with elbows, punches. Not so much with bodies. She's really a headhunter. She's usually able to use her physicality to get takedowns. She doesn't really have good top control down there, but she does go for hard ground and pound. Like, her ground and pound is so wild. Like, so she may miss and let her opponents up, like what happened versus Rosa. Now, cardio-wise, I feel like she has good cardio. She's just slow in round 1. She's just a slow starter, but she pretty much always wins round 3. Her striking defense, she uses a lot of footwork and relies on her chin. Like, she took a heavy shot versus 𝐥𝐤𝐵𝐞. So she's just kind of a bully fighter. Like, her striking defense is not great, but she can take on the chin and she can usually walk forward, like, and just walk through it, so it doesn't really seem that bad on the judges. Strikes or drops her. I haven't really seen her dropped ever. Striking defense. Oh, sorry, kick defense. I haven't seen too many kicks land on her. She uses a lot of footwork. You know, she's strong, so if people low kicks, she could probably push forward and get a takedown. Her takedown defense and get-up game. She has some really nice reversals. Like, she's able to use her physical strengths. A bit like 𝐷𝐤𝐤𝐿 will do. Like, she can explode out even when she's mounted. She did this versus Roxanne Modify. Sometimes she throws too hard, and like with her ground and pound, she will overextend herself and get taken down. Like, versus Marek took her down in round 2 because Barber was just coming in, overextending, being way too aggressive, like, while they're standing, right? And boom, Marek just level chain, take her down. I feel like she has improved a lot, though, since the Roxanne Modify fight. She's not as fat or, like, wobbly anymore. Like, her physical strength is just her greatest gift. She's very athletic, and I kind of like these fighters like her. Submission defense, never being submitted, never being KO'd. Defended well versus Rosa and defended well versus Roxy, which is nice to see. Offensive striking. She likes knees in the clinch. She never really goes to the body with her strikes. In the clinch, she will use elbows like she did versus Rosa. Elbows, punches, heavy shots. She does fine striking wise, like when she throws 1 or 2 punches. But in a prolonged striking exchange, like versus Alexa Grasso, who's a far superior technical fighter, right? She comes up short. So what Barber needs to do is like land 1 or 2 shots, be the bully, back out. She does not. She's not able to have these long striking battles. She's gonna lose them. She's just not good enough. Usually the striking consists of just very wild hooks, haymakers. Like, she throws with intention. And many girls in the past have been afraid of her. I don't think they're that afraid of her anymore. I don't think necessarily 𝐸 is going to be afraid of her. But I do think maybe Barber can bully her. Now, kicking game. I haven't seen any good kicks from Barber whatsoever. Does she catch kicks? I haven't seen that. Does she have good optics? Like forward pressure to win decisions? Yes! Great optics. She won versus Marek, even though she didn't win that fight. Clear probably, but she won the fight. Pay attention to that, because judges seems to like her. She's a bully, she clinches, she has aggression. Like, I'd not be surprised if, like, for instance, like, when she was facing Rosa, right? She got all 3 rounds, even though it looked a bit closer. Like, I'd not be surprised if Rosa had got a round or so, but no judges gave her any whatsoever. They like Barber. In the clinch, Barber likes to go for headshots with her elbows and punches. As said, never to her body. Good knees. She digs for underhooks. That's really important. That shows that she's matured. She reverses. She did this versus Rosa. She did well versus Grasso as well. And I'm impressed because both Grasso and Rosa, they're technical. And she did well. Like, when I say Rosa, I mean not Cal Rosa, I mean Montana de la Rosa. Also, she fought a physical fighter in Marek, right? And she landed a right hand and she went for the clinch. That's also nice to see, you know, right hand, boom, going for the clinch. So I like how Barber will punch herself into the clinch. And she often gets the back sort of in the clinch, which is also good. I like, you know, clinch, and then she can sort of take the back there. She's able to get body lock takedowns where she will drag her opponents down to the ground. And she also knows how to wrap legs when she's clinching. So all in the clinch, she's just a very solid clinch fighter, just physical and strong. Her head position in the clinch game, I like her head position. It's not perfect, but it's solid. It's aggressive. Head movement, not seen any. She gets hit a lot. Footwork, she moves a lot, fast, light on her feet, never stands still, able to move on the outside, circle like she did versus Marek, who pressured her. Like she was on the outside of the octagon. Marek was sort of trying to cut her off. She wasn't doing too much, but she didn't get caught either. That was nice. Her takedowns, usually a body lock where she will drag her opponent down, or it can be some sort of double leg where she will shoot really fast and use her physicality. Like when she goes for a double leg, she will run through her opponents, right? A lot of fighters will go for the double leg takedown and stop, or try to lift them. When you go for the double leg, be like a rhino and run through them, so they lose. If they leg, they will lose the balance. It's just important when you go for these double legs. Her top control, I feel like her top control is lacking, but I think that's because her ground and pound is so heavy. Like she really goes for a ground strike with elbows, with punches on the ground, and sometimes it's like versus one time the Orosa, she was throwing so hard she just missed and that the Orosa get up. Her chin and recovery, she seemed to be very tough, very eager, have a solid chin, and she took a hard shot as mentioned versus 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿. So yeah, solid chin, and she's young, she hasn't taken that much damage. Fight IQ, she has a bit of a booty fight IQ. Like she's sort of a rhino, I said. Like she does what she does. She's not really able to adapt. I feel like she just does the same thing. Is she game? Yes, she's game, because versus Roxanne Modify, she had a knee injury. She was messed up, and she came out hard in round 3. She did not accept defeat, and I really like that from her. It may be seen as immature, but I like it, and I like it even more now when she's more skilled. She's had time to grow. So win conditions for Barber: clinch, bully her opponent, use her physicality, potentially get some takedowns, land the harder shots. That's the win conditions. So what type of fighters she's good at? Weak physical fighters, fighters you can outmuscle and clinch. How do you beat her? How do you beat Maycee Barber? Use her weak ground game by having a solid top game like Roxy. You can also be a better striker like 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿, and use Barber's subpar striking. And I feel like also if you can compete with Barber in the clinch, and that's what 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿 could, while you're a better striker, then you're going to be fine. But if you cannot compete with him in the clinch, then you might have an issue. Like if you're too weak and she can just bully you to physicality, it's just an issue. Now, for this fight versus 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿, I was kind of liking the eye line. Joke. If you look at the... that was not intended, guys. But if you look at the line, right, it gives a 75% chance for Barber to win, 29% for 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿 to win. So we can already see the juice on the bookie stat is about 4-5%. Greedy bookies, right? I thought I would like 𝐸, but there's an 11 years difference, guys. That's a lot. If you look at some stats over here as well, you cannot always use the stats. You kind of have to look at, okay, who have they faced? May has this really cool star system. I helped out giving an example. You can find on the side. That's a really good help section. The cool thing about the stars is that it compares the fighters with all the fighters on the roster, so you can see how good they are. Each half star counts for 10%. So for instance, Barber striking at 65% means that she's in the top 20% of all the fighters in UFC. Stat-wise, again, stats can be super misleading, which is why all these algorithm systems and all that doesn't work. My system works, but that's not based on algorithm and all this stuff. It's based on something different. You can see Barber with much better stats, and it's not like that 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿 has faced like super tough competition. It's a right competition, right? It's because you expect Barber's gonna face one day, right? But Barber hasn't faced bad competition either. She's done fine, and her stats are just way better. Sometimes the stats can be skewed because maybe Barber had a super dominant fight versus Miranda Marek, where the fight didn't get stopped, so her stats changed and so on. But here I feel it's pretty telling. I feel like, yeah, Barber is probably going to be able to bully her, probably land her a bit more, and I think she can bully her in the clinch. I think the reasons Barber is going to win this fight is because of her physicality. When you watch this fight, it's probably going to look like there's value on 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿. Sometimes you just have these fights where that, you know, we had this for years, right? Where it looks like the dog is value, but the favorite wins. Of course, they don't always win, but you can just have these fights where they're really, really close, but the favorite just edges it nearly every single time. And I feel like Barber, aggression, the judges like her. Yeah, I'm going to go with Barber decision. If you want to play Barber, maybe look into the over, like the decision, the over, Barber decision. And if you're going to go for I, maybe also take her, but by decision, because I cannot see her stopping Barber. Like, she didn't even get stopped when she had a knee injury. So, but you have to consider also the draw is better. You have to consider, you know, shit happens in MMA. So if a line and it's not, if the difference between the money line and, for instance, the decision line is not big enough, then maybe just take the money line, so you get your money back if it becomes a draw. But for instance, like the Barber here, right? If you say it turn it into a pick and decision, might be worth a bet. Alright guys, so Uriah Hall versus Andrew Muniz. So if you take Andrew Muniz first, now Andrew Muniz, he gets a lot of shit. Like, he's been shit on for so long. I liked her last time. I liked him versus Ronaldo Sousa, even with submission. I was not surprised about that, because this is most likely win condition. Andrew Muniz, he's a 3rd-degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's super high level. And this is light heavyweight. This is middleweight. So this is some big guys. And Hall, he's not good on the ground. So, yeah, I'm not going to be surprised. He's going to be another quick win for Muniz here. I don't really have a read on Muniz's chin, though. Like, he seems to get wobbled by 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿, but that was due to a front kick in round 1, and that was it. And then he got KO'd by 𝐼𝐸 𝐒𝐻𝐻 back in 2016, but he's a monster. Like, that's why I took him versus Tafon. And Tafon, he's doable as hell, but he got softened up and finished in round 3. And I don't think that was just a fluke or just lucky like some people think. It felt lucky, but I don't think it was. So, no shame in losing to him. So I'm not really sure how good his chin is. His chin probably gets worse when he's fatigued, because that's just natural. When you're fatigued, your chin is just worse. But yeah, otherwise he's only been knocked out back in when he was all new. You know, he's still a newbie back in 2013. He has no amateur experience, by the way, so it makes sense why he has a few losses in the beginning of the year. You cannot be too hard on a fighter who has losses in the beginning of their career if they have no amateur experience. This is also why it's important to look at their amateur experience. Like a guy like 𝐥𝐤𝐤, for instance, right? He has a lot of wins now, but look at his amateur experience. So much amateur experience. Combine all that, he has a record like 𝐻𝐸𝐵 𝐻𝐸𝐿 pretty much. Anyway, how reliable is Muniz? Very reliable. Like, what you see on tape is what you're gonna get. And that's what I like. That's what you want to do when you tape fights. That's what you want to do when you bet on fights. You want to see people who are reliable, or you see something in the tape and you can rely on that. Cardio-wise, I feel like he tires out due to grappling. Like, he slowed down versus 𝐥𝐤𝐤. He plays the sub guard a lot, like, especially when he gets tired. Like, as he gets tired, he's just content with laying on the ground. His cardio is not terrible, but it's definitely not great. He's a bit weak later on. Like, 1 and 2, that's his strong suit. After that, he's probably not gonna win. It gets really tough for him. Striking defense, I haven't seen too many kicks from him, but he's good with the double legs. That helps him, because when people are afraid of getting taken down, that means that they will not throw as many punches because they want to defend potential takedowns. His striking defense is seriously lacking though. Like, when he's rushing forward, landing shots himself, his chin is wide open to getting knocked out. The strikes he's been dropped to has been a front kick to the face. His kick defense, not seen that. His takedown defense and get-up game, like, he's fine with being on the ground, so there's no problem for him, so it's not really a concern here. His submission defense, he's never been submitted. You know, people's worried about being submitted by him, not the other way around. His offensive striking, he loves rushing forward, landing these shots, but as I said, his chin is wide open when he does this. He does have some power, like, and his opponent sometimes gets hurt by his power. But I don't feel like he has big KO power. It's just usually like an accumulation of punches, I feel like. Kicks, not seeing any real kicks from him. In the clinch game, defensively, he does a good job of widening his legs, which makes getting double leg takedowns on him hard. He often gets takedowns himself in the clinch, where he will rush in for a double leg takedown. He doesn't usually get like these reactive takedowns or takedowns in the middle of the octagon, but he will get a takedown when he gets into the clinch, lock his hands, and then he can get a double leg takedown. Head position in the clinch. He has very good head pressure in the clinch, really making it uncomfortable for his opponents. Head movement, not seen any of that. Footwork, no special notes there. Grappler's footwork is usually lacking, I feel like. Offensive Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like how does he get finishes? Armbars is his speciality, like he submit Ronaldo Souza. He's a very good defensive armbar. Like if you knock him down and he is still completely knocked out, and you just rush into him, you're gonna find yourself tapping pretty quick because he goes for an armbar super quick. And I noticed in one fight, Hall couldn't help himself but rush forward, try to land a bit of ground and pound before he backed off. If he does that against Muniz, he's gonna be in an armbar. Besides that, Muniz has triangle chokes. Like he tricked Fabinski into thinking he was going for a triangle choke, right? But then he switched to an armbar. Very high level. He's also done a Barber choke, a guillotine choke, and a rear naked choke. So he has a wide range of ways to submit you. The takedowns, mostly the takedowns he gets is, as said, it's really just double legs from a clinch. Because sometimes he shoots too far out. He might also like try after you get up, like he did versus 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞. 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 try to get up, and then 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 got taken down right away. But he doesn't get takedowns due to reactive takedowns. And reactive takedowns, that's like, if you don't know what that is, reactive takedown is that, like, let's say I'm attacking you, I come forward, I'm trying to strike, boom, yellow level chains, maybe when I'm throwing a punch and you take me down. That's a reactive takedown. He doesn't really do that. It really is shoot far out, or just in general try and go for a takedown, then push you into the clinch, because he's not really able to lock his hands before that, but then when he gets to the clinch, then he can get to the takedown. And that's important, because when we talk about Uriah Hall, that's exactly the way he gets taken down usually. If Muniz fails takedowns, just because he shoots too far out pretty much. His top game versus 𝐴𝐿, he had very good top control. Every single round he got him down. 𝐴𝐿 never got up. He only got up because of Herb Dean in round 3, who let him up twice, even though Muniz was working on top. His top control is solid. It's good. His ground and pound is also good, and if he has your back, he will land punches to your head, and a lot of punches, which is nice. His chin and recovery, I have no real read there, and of course that's dangerous against Hall because Hall is super inactive, but he does have KO power. Fight IQ, I don't feel like Muniz is really able to adapt. It's like either sub or control or just nothing. He doesn't really have skill so much else. Is Muniz a game fighter? I'd not say so, but I like the look in his eyes. Like I liked him versus Sousa, I liked him versus Anders. I didn't bet him though, but I said the submission was not a surprise for me at all. So win conditions for Muniz: submissions, submit from guard, armbars, control, clinch, and double legs where you can lock hands in the clinch. Again, this is important because if you ever see a fighter who's really good at defending double legs, Muniz is screwed. He's screwed then because that's almost like his only takedown. How do you beat him? How to beat Muniz? Solid takedown defense, solid submission defense, but you probably need to be super high level to avoid getting submitted by him. Gas him out. Like a good striker that can KO him potentially, like Hall, or defend these double legs. As said, if you can do that, then you should be good. Like, I feel like okay, maybe he also has a body lock sometimes, but really it's the double leg that's his main go-to. So, if you take a look at Uriah Hall here, Uriah Hall, he's only a blue belt, but in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I feel like he's really unreliable though. Like sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not. I feel like he's a mental nutcase. Like he just changes so much. Usually he's really passive and he will just look for the KO. He doesn't really land much. It's just a lot of like long single shots shot from the outside. Cardio wise, he's overall low volume. Like I feel like heavy grappling constantly in the clinch could tire him out, and that'll probably make him lose his knockout power. The striking defense wise, he has some solid footwork. It's okay. It's like middle ground. Like it fits all with his striking defense stats, so it's fairly okay. He's fairly defensive. The strikes that have dropped him, a quick jab, because he's just too slow. He's just way too slow. He also doesn't see the punches coming really from the side sometimes. Like he's slow volume. He's just sort of like a counter puncher, like a counter striker mostly. His kick defense, I haven't seen too much of that, but Uriah Hall seems really heavy on the lead leg. Like I feel like a good leg kicker could chop it up. Takedown defense and get-up game. He's okay at getting up against the cage, but he's weak to double leg takedowns against the cage. He got taken down by Strickland several times, and against Antonio Carlos Jr., Antonio Carlos Jr. locked his hands against the cage and got the takedown. Super, super important, guys. This is why we do these in-depth breakdowns, because that's exactly what Muniz can do in this fight. But you see, he also Hall can KO Muniz, because that's Muniz's weakness. We don't have any good read of how good Muniz's chin is, so you're really risking a lot. You bet his super favorite money line here on Muniz here. Okay, so Hall's striking offense, right? He has a good counter, right? Solid KO power, but he sometimes likes to do this spinning shit, like he did it versus Antonio Carlos Jr. But the spinning shit he does though in his defense is fast. Usually, it's just like the spinning shit. It's just so easy to take it back when you do it. Otherwise, it's mostly single shots, one punch at a time. He may push forward, like if he sees you hurt, but overall he's just a counter striker. He's overall very low volume, not much of a kicker. Like he did have a few low kicks versus Lewis though. He doesn't really try to catch any push kicks from his opponent. It's just because he's a striker. He wants to keep it standing. Does he have good optics to win decisions? No, bad optics. He's inactive. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't do enough. Clinch game. He was able to escape the clinch a few times, like by circling out. He will also dig for an underhook. He did that versus Antonio Carlos Jr., but it's just so slow. Like, I feel like that underhook, why did he not dig for that way faster? He could have done it way earlier. And he also got taken down in the clinch by these double legs by people locking hands. So I'm not saying I don't think he's like a super good clinch fighter. He's like it's okay. Like he does the basic stuff, right? But he's not great. He lets himself get bullied too much. Head position in the clinch game, I haven't seen that. Head movement, not much head movement. He relies on his footwork. It's not like he's stationary his head, but it's like a 5 out of 10 head movement, I'd say, skill wise. Footwork, he moves around a lot, like, but it's mostly walking. Like he does move in circles, and he's also able to escape some punches sometimes. But I feel like his lead leg is really wide open, and he's just, even though he's moving, he's just like he's sort of walking. He doesn't really have that quick and nice, super nice high level striker, bouncy kind of movement. Takedowns, of course, none because he's a striker. Chin and recovery, his chin is okay, but if he gets knocked out, I feel like it's an accumulation of punches, like versus Costa, who just broke him, or like when Strickland had him hurt. His fight IQ, Uriah Hall, he doesn't really adapt. Like he just does the same thing. Low volume, looks for a KO. Like versus Silva, right? I remember betting him, but he was like losing the first 3 rounds or so, and that was when I started to buy out, just as he would get a finish, because he was just not doing anything. He was so inactive, just because he has so much respect for Anderson Silva. Like I thought he would like turn it up late. Well, he did, but it's just so frustrating. Like it's just bad fight IQ. It's a mental nutcase. Is he game? No, not at all. What is the win condition for Hall? It's a knockout because he's super low volume. I mean, okay, he could potentially win the decision, right? But mostly it's gonna be a knockout. How do you beat him? Higher volume, like Strickland. Knock him out. Possibly submit him though, but he's never been submitted or faced any high-level submission artist outside of Antonio Carlos Jr. And he's friends with Antonio Carlos Jr. So, I mean, how hard did they really go at it, right? I feel like that's that extra level when you're not just friends and pals. It becomes a little bit of a sparring match. I'm not saying that it was impressive that he didn't get submitted by him, but it's going to be interesting seeing him against the Muniz, how good he really is. So, if you look at the odds for this fight, let me just see if you can see that. Yes, good. So, we got Ander Muniz here, around 76% chance implied probability. Uriah Hall, 25% to 27% chance. I mean, if you bet Hall, I don't mind if you just take his money line because he's already so high. But otherwise, you can look into the KO prop, a KO decision if you have access to that. Sometimes you see some really crazy lines on the double chances. But otherwise, I'll just take him straight. Muniz, you can look into the submission round 1, maybe. He has a lot of them, but I feel like people are aware now of how good Muniz is at submitting, so you're not going to get these insane lines like you did versus 𝐥𝐤𝐤, and I think the Fabinski line was also okay. I'm going to go with Muniz by submission, and that's because I think he can get this double leg takedown. I do think he can get the submission. This is a good live bet fight, those guys. If you don't live bet, or if you don't know how to live bet, join my group. I'm going to show you how to do it, because that could be potentially a lot of money in this fight. If Anna Muniz guesses out and Uriah Hall is still game, he's still not beaten after one round or around 1.5, 7.5 minutes, it gets really, really interesting. It might be really worth betting on Uriah Hall, and maybe you can get him at like plus 400 or plus 500. And the cool thing is, favorites takes forever to become underdogs, even pick'ems in doing live betting. So even if like Muniz is losing the fight and so on, the line on Uriah Hall will likely stick. You can still bet him. I remember I did that with Derek Brunson versus 𝐸𝐿𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐸𝐻. 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻 he was screwed after round 1, but he's still a massive favorite. Like bookies and general live bettors, they don't take in consideration that, yeah, sure, this fighter won round 1, but he's completely, he's done now. Hands on the cage, breathing heavy, looks defeated in the eyes, all that. They don't take that into consideration. They don't only take into consideration who won this round, usually at least. This is also why it's important to know all this stuff, all these deep dive notes, because then it helps you live betting. So, yeah, I'm probably going to lean just passing this fight, but look into some props in this fight might be the thing. Or I wouldn't blame anyone for taking the stab on Hall, but I just feel like there's a better dogs to bet on. Alright guys, Brad Tavares versus Dricus to Plessis. So, that's an interesting fight too. There's a rumor around that Brad Tavares has been knocked out in sparring, and that he is going to fight injured. Let's start with Dricus because of that. So, Dricus, one interesting thing you may not know, he's knocked out 30 out of 33 opponents in kickboxing. What I don't know about him is his submission defense. He's mostly a kickboxer and striker, like he can submit, but I'm not sure how good he is defensively himself. How liable is he? He will often look pretty bad, like he reacts badly to getting hit, even though he has a high guard and protects himself. Like, even though he protects himself well, right, he still gets hit a lot, and he reacts badly to it. He uses some low kicks, like, has his high guard, this weird compact posture thing, but the low wide posture he sometimes has helps him land low kicks. Like, it's fairly low, which means he can land these low kicks a little bit better. He has a little more range for his kicks. His cardio, I'm not really sure, like, how good that cardio really is. Like, he's never won by decision, all finishes. So I'd sort of assume that his round 3 probably not the best. His striking defense, the high guard, compact, chin tucked, but even though he does that, still gets hit a lot because he does not have head movement. He doesn't check leg kicks either. Like, he was hit with so many leg kicks versus Roberto Soldic, who's such a good fighter. The strikes that have dropped Dricus is the left hook. The left hook by Soldic dropped him in the second fight twice. His kicking defense, as I said, not seeing him check leg kicks. He seems weak to body kicks as well, because he got hit a lot by a lot of those from Soldic in the second fight. His takedown defense, I'm not really sure, because he's mostly faced strikers. He's good head position though. When he had the clinch one time, so I assume he would know how to defend with underhooks, but it's a little bit speculative. Offensive striking, he has a solid straight right that KO'd Trevin Giles when he had the low guard. Like, Giles had a low guard, he didn't really pay attention to what he was doing when he was moving away. His left hook also dropped Soldic in their first fight and finished him off. And he also used a short left hook versus Marcus Perez that knocked him down. He's not much of a volume striker, but he lands with intentions like hooks and straights, and he has some decent power. His kicking game, that's mostly the low kicks. That's his main thing. 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐵, however, caught his kick and took him down. That was a kind of a sloppy kick though. And also again in the same fight versus 𝐥𝐢𝐵, he got taken down again due to a kick that got caught. But that's the only fight that happened then. But it shows if you plan for it, you can probably take him down. Does Dricus try and catch kicks? No, I haven't seen that. Does he have good or bad optics, such as forward pressure to win decisions? No, he looks bad when he gets attacked. He looks bad with his facial expressions. He doesn't seem like he enjoys it at all. He reacts really, really bad to it. That's not good for a decision. But then again, he doesn't really need to because he finished his fighter, so it's okay. The clinch game, in round 1 versus 𝐥𝐢𝐵, he got the clinch after he got taken down. but then he got reversed pretty fast, and then they separated. He did show some good head position in the second Sultic fight, but he shot for a takedown really far out. Then he also used a body lock to try and get Sultic down. It didn't happen. They separated, but it's something worth noticing. But overall, I haven't seen much of his clinch game. It's overall, I'd probably say an unknown for me how good he really is in the clinch. But he has shown excellent head position in the clinch, at least a little bit from what I saw, and that should be an indicator that he's probably a decent clinch fighter. Head movement, he has a high guard. He doesn't really move his head. It's pretty stationary. He gets hit a lot. Footwork, he looks very stiff when he moves. Like, sometimes he will switch stances briefly, right? But one of the reasons is because like he's a lot of low kicks. I think it's because of that he is why he's so stiff sometimes. But submissions he's going for, he has a lot of submissions actually, more submissions than KOs. Rear naked chokes, guillotines. He submitted people with around 50-50 of each of these two methods. He has 7 knockouts, 9 submissions. So, but when people think about Dricus, they think knockout fighter, because that's what you see in the UFC. But he can definitely submit people. And could he submit Brad Tavares, who has super elite takedown defense, some of the best takedown defense I've ever seen? Yes, club and sub. Club him, boom, go down and submit him. Bit like Kevin Holland did versus Tim Means. Takedowns, he used a suplex in the Sultic fight, in the first fight. That's the only takedown we've seen from him. Top game, I don't have any read on that. His chin and recovery. His chin seems okay. He's only been dropped and he got like hit flush like with a Sultic, so that's okay. His fight IQ, like I feel like he usually looks like shit until he fights for KO. Like I don't think he will really adapt to his opponents. Is he game? Nah, I'd say he's like average. He's not a game fighter. He's not a not game fighter. He's just average. Win conditions, knockout and sub. He needs a finish, not a decision. Never been to decision. How does he do it? Knockout, like he did with Sultic. He gets hit a lot. As said, he's often in a bad position. Sooner or later, he'll find himself in a bad position. He's a very dangerous kickboxer because he has those 30 knockouts out of 33 fights in the kickboxing fights. An alternative way would be a takedown, maybe. But I'm not sure how good he is at that. But I feel like that's the way to beat him. That is, maybe go for a takedown, maybe kill him like Sultic did. Because Dricus just sometimes finds himself in this bad position. But that's the way to beat him. That's get the KO, take him down, get him in these bad positions. And the way for Dricus to win, KO sub. He needs a finish. So a bit like the same thing here. But I feel like Dricus in the UFC is more like gonna find wins standing rather than on the ground. If you take a look at Brad Tavares, I said that's this rumor that he's been knocked out in sparring and that he has that he's fighting injured now. I don't have any read on how good he is on the ground defensively or offensively. Like rarely gets him on the ground because has got such good takedown defense. He doesn't land the most amount of strikes. Like he has a solid snap at jab, good combos, lands a decent amount of strikes. Like you can always rely on his elite takedown defense, and his low kicks are absolutely brutal when he goes for them. But he's just kind of a bit like kind of thing. Like he's okay, but like even when he beat Anthony Carlos Jr. and Omari, who both wanted to take him down, Brad Tavares, as I said, his elite takedown defense, really good balance and so on. Like I feel like he could have won those fights more clearly. Like, but he didn't really put a stamp on it, and that's a red flag for me that he didn't do more than that. He could have won them way more clearly. Cardio wise, I haven't really seen him tire. I think like his cardio is okay. His default striking defense, he gets leg kicked a lot because he does not check leg kicks at all. Omari landed a few kicks on him that he did not check. He does move his head and he does have decent footwork. Like I've seen some solid in and out movement, like forth and back at least. Versus Omari, right? Interesting thing there was that after the first round, his corner told him to use straight jabs because he had the means advantage, and to not go into a hook battle with Omari, right? Because Omari, he had the power, he had the dangerous hooks. And what does he do? As soon as the second round starts, he went into a hook battle. That's just not good. Didn't listen to his corner. His striking defense, Brad Tavares' striking defense, it's okay. It's not elite. It's not bad. It's okay. But strikes that have dropped Tavares, I saw him slip versus O'Malley, and then versus Edmund, like he got kicked, he got head kicked and knocked out like that, but he was already wobbly by it before that. Also, whenever he would low kick versus O'Malley later in the fight, O'Malley had realized what to do, so he would counter him when Brad would go for a low kick. So that's important to notice as well. His kick defense is non-existent. Like, he just eats so many low kicks, he doesn't check them. He ate low kicks versus O'Malley, and he ate low kicks versus 𝐸𝐸 𝐸𝐸. They didn't try to land too many though. Takedown defense and get-up game, elite takedown defense. Like, some of the best takedown defense you will ever see. Such good balance. He will use wide legs, underhooks, incredible balance. He was able to defend versus Antonio Carlos Jr. and O'Malley, and they're good at taking people down. Just absolutely fantastic work. His get-up game is also elite. Like, whenever he gets taken down, it's like he pops right back up. O'Malley got him down due to a perfectly timed double leg at one point, right? And he got right back up. Didn't get anything out of it. So get-up game is elite, takedown defense is elite, some of the best you'll ever see. And I feel like it says a lot, because O'Malley and Antonio Carlos Jr., they're strong and they're skilled, but best technique is just too good. So you can kind of expect that this fight probably not going to be finished by submission by Du Plessis, except if it's for club and sub. Submission defense, I have no really read on that, because it pretty much never goes there. Offensive striking, he has brutal low kicks, a snappy jab, good combos, usually 2 free shots when he goes forward. He has an uppercut that he used versus O'Malley, but that's the only time I saw it. Overall, he doesn't land too many punches. Like, he lands a decent amount. His KO power usually comes from an accumulation of power, like accumulation of strikes, or just one single shot. But he's just kind of like an okay striker. You don't feel like he's... It's a bit like Omar Morales, I feel like. He's like, it's okay, he's good, but he's not bad. He's kind of good, a bit more than the average maybe, but it's kind of like, it's like, he's not really able to utilize it as much as he should, like put a stamp on, hey, I'm a better striker here. So it just becomes like, kind of like a bit like meh, a bit like, ugh, it's like, okay, kind of thing. Kicking game, he has these brutal low kicks, and he has a decent head kick that he will use occasionally. He doesn't try to catch kicks. He has been countered himself with the low kicks by O'Malley. That was in round 3 when O'Malley had found out how to counter these low kicks. Does he have good or bad optics at winning decisions? I mean, the scorecards have been a bit mixed. He usually wins like 2-1, like 29-28. But does look good is him defending takedowns. Like, I noticed that judges like it when you defend takedowns a lot. Like, it gives points even though you're not doing too much. It just gives you points. Clinch game, good defensive clinch game, underhooks, wide legs. He doesn't reverse them with clinch. Like, he's content with just having these double unders, but it's not like when he has a double under that he will reverse. He does use some knees like Demopoulos would do. Sorry, he does not use the knees like a fighter like Vanessa Demopoulos would do. She did that last fight versus 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐿, right, last week. Whenever she would clinch, she would use so many knees, really, really good clinch work, right? And Tavares doesn't do that. Even when he has double unders, doesn't reverse, doesn't use knees. And I don't get that, because he's otherwise a really good clinch fighter. But I think it's a little bit like his striking. It's just like he's so focused on being defensive, he forgets his offense a little bit, I feel like. Head movement wise, he has some decent head movement defensively. Usually keeps a high guard as well. Footwork, he circles around the octagon well, moves in and out, not like on an elite level, but he does move around. He's not stationary, but I feel like elite strikers gonna beat him. But he can do well versus low level and mediocre strikers, but his best work comes from people who wants to take him down. And remove O'Malley and Antonio Carlos Jr., who tried to take him down, and he has lost a lot of fights then recently, right? Let's just click on him here. Then he lost to Edmund Sebastian, got knocked out by him, lost to 𝐸𝐸 𝐸𝐸, and he only beat 𝐤𝐻𝐞 back in 2018, 4 years ago. So, yeah, he also had a cancer bout with Ellen, where he withdrew, which is also a red flag to me whenever a fighter withdraws. That's why it's important to check topology or Sherdog, just a little tip for you. If he goes for submissions on the ground, well, he doesn't really do that. The last time he did that was with a rear naked choke, but he hasn't submitted anyone since 2008, so don't expect him to submit Dricus here. Takedowns, I saw him try a takedown versus 𝐸𝐸, but he didn't even feint. He just shot so far out and got denied. Like, Issue got a bit better of him. It was just bad. I feel like he only did it because he couldn't win striking wise. So top game, I don't have any read on that. Chin and recovery, his chin seems average. Like, it's not special. And now there's this rumor that he got knocked out, so it might be bad. So we might see him get knocked the F out versus Dricus here. His fight IQ is like average. Like, I don't feel like he adapts. He has a very solid corner, that tells him what to do. I said they told him not to jab. They told him to jab and use long strikes versus 𝐿𝐷𝐷𝐷, but he didn't. He went into a hook battle again. So I don't feel like his fight IQ is that good. I don't think it's bad, but it's just like average kind of thing. Also that he doesn't reverse in the clinch and use knees. It's just, again, I feel like he could do so much more. He's so much more potential. Is he a game fighter? No, he's not. He's average. Main conditions for him, that's defend takedowns, keep it standing, land some brutal low kicks, win the striking battle, usually a decision. The only way he gets a KO is like if he lands solo punches. A little bit hard to see him doing that here, but it could happen. If Dricus slows down a lot, I guess. How to beat him? KO is the best. Because his takedown defense is so good, so you're not going to take him down. You can also outclass him to a decision by being the better striker. I said Brad is only good against mediocre to bad strikers. Solid leg kicks is also good, but because he doesn't check leg kicks. And solid leg defense, where you check leg kicks, could also be good because Brad has these brutal leg kicks that you could stop. So how do I see this fight going? I mean, if you look at the line, right? Dricus has shortened a lot from dog to wow. Pretty big favorite now. That's probably because of the rumors thing here. So betting Dricus now is probably a bit risky. Probably the line maybe is where it should be. If you want to bet Tavares, maybe wait even longer. It might get even wider. But otherwise, you could consider the under. You could consider the KO on Dricus. If you take the KO, do consider that he might club and sub Tavares. I feel like this is a good live bet fight, potentially. Because if Brad Tavares is not composed, if he looks fine, then you may see him take over after round 1 or so. Maybe after round 2. Depends how it looks. If it looks kind of close, that could be a really, really good potential live spot on Brad Tavares. You can't always be sure of that, though. So if you like Tavares, you could take him now already. I'm going to go my prediction with Dricus to Plessis to get the knockout. It should give a round probably in the second round. Yeah, I just feel like this is I feel like Dricus is going to pass his test. This fight reminds me a little bit of 𝐿𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐷. I don't necessarily think Dricus is as high level as 𝐿𝐷𝐷𝐷𝐷 striking wise, but yeah, I feel like he's going to pass this one. But I'm also a little bit low on Tavares here. But yeah, betting Dricus now might just be asking for trouble here. But yeah, Dricus to Plessis is going to be my prediction. Alright guys, let's go to the next fight. Gabe Green versus Aaron Garry. Now this is a very interesting fight for me because I love game fighters and Gabe Green is a game fighter. So let's start with him first. So one thing you may not know that's very interesting, the commentator said, was that he's improved his vision a lot, which has improved his speed and obviously his accuracy. This happened between the Rowe fight and the Johan fight. So I believe he had some eye surgery. Now, what I'm not sure about him is actually how good his chin is, because he's been dropped by an elbow back then when he went in a Bafo. This was back in November 2016. And then he got dropped by a white hand by Johan, but he seemed to be fine right away. But then at the same time, you have fighters like Maycee who gets dropped and then got totally flatlined last time with a nasty left hook that well sat. So a little bit unsure how good he is. His recovery seemed fine, but how good his chin is and how much it actually takes to completely knock him out, not sure about that. But the shot from Johan that landed flush, I mean, you can't expect too much there. If you get hit like that, yeah, people go down. That's to be expected. So overall, like, I feel like he's a game fighter. He's good pressure. He's trustworthy. What you see on tape, you get. He's good cardio, good pressure. The only thing I did notice about him with his cardio was that he seems to slow down in round 3 versus Rodriguez a little bit. But I don't think like his cardio is bad. I feel like it's probably in between okay and good cardio, something like that, I'd say. Now his striking defense is interesting because he rolls for punches to the head a lot, so it doesn't affect him that much. He moves his head a lot to the side. He still eats a lot though, but that's because he's coming forward all the time. They usually doesn't land. They usually don't land too heavy, so you can eat a lot of punches as he's coming in. But he does get tagged, and I feel like on the temples, is where his biggest weakness is, and that's where Garry actually has some advantages there. Now, if you look at the strikes that dropped him, I said the elbow back in 2016, and Johan dropped him with a clean hit to the temple. His kick defense, he got hit with a lot of kicks versus Johan. I didn't really see him check them or anything, or like move away too much. Now, his takedown defense and get-up game, he's really weak on the ground. Like, he got mounted several times by Rowe. And I know people are really rough on Rowe, but I don't think he's as bad as people say. When he tried to take the back of Johan, like Johan, he was down on the ground, and Gabriel Green, he tried to take the back, but as he was trying to take it back, he got intercepted. Like, let's say you're coming towards me, that was Gabriel Green, and then what Johan was doing was he jumped on him as Gabriel Green tried to take his back. This meant that this is why after he had defended a double leg, like that Gabriel Green had defended a double leg. Gabriel Green, he's never been submitted, but he's not good on the bottom. That's very obvious. He does manage to get up if he can get it to the cage. And yeah, like, he's okay, but it's definitely his biggest weaknesses. Like, he has 6 submissions himself, but he's still weak on the ground. He does not want to be there. I feel like if you can really pressure him, like he did versus Johan, like, when he gets backed up, right, that's when, like, when he gets taken down, right, you're on top of him, like Johan was. When he gets back up, like, for instance, him against the cage, he got a clinch, or just outside, like, in the middle of the octagon, then he starts putting on you. That's what he did with Johan. Johan was clearly visibly tired, right, and he starts using his forward pressure. That's actually a big advantage to getting taken down. Of course, you don't want to be taken down, but when you get taken down, when you get back up, put the pace on your opponent. Even if you're tired, even if you're struggling for breath, do it. Because let's say at the beginning of a fight, this is you, this is your opponent, right? And the power balance is like this. But now you got taken down, now you're really, really tired, right? But so is your opponent. And this is worse for him, because maybe you have some knockout power or something like that, right? Even if it's diminished. So instead of the power level difference is like this, now it's like this. Even though you feel tired and you feel weak. And some fighters recognize this and they're able to put it on them, and I feel like Gabriel Green was able to do that on Johan here. So that also means he's a good live bet fighter. You cannot normally bet if he's taken down straight away, but after a while they will open the lines again. That's when you can do it. As I said, he's never been submitted. I've seen him fight some hands, so I assume his submission defense is decent. Offensively, he has strong leg kicks, high kicks. He lands a lot of them, especially versus Rodriguez. Low kicks smashed Rowe's leg so he couldn't stand on it. That was really nice to see as well. He likes to land hooks, combos. He doesn't have too much of a jab though. That's kind of his downside. Like, he has good forward pressure. He can catch people against the cage or just throw some punches, right? He has a high work rate, but he lacks the jab sometimes, and that's gonna be an issue, I think, against Garry. Now, his kicking game, I said, he has good low kicks, high kicks. He landed a lot versus Rodriguez in all 3 rounds, every single one of them. He did get taken down by Rowe, though, at the end of round 3 due to a kick. Now, I'm not necessarily sure Gary's going to do that, but it's a weakness that he got taken down, because that could mean that it's a sloppy kick and so on, or it's too chittergraphed. You always want to notice small things like this. That's why, for instance, the next category, does he catch kicks or counter kicks, like, for instance, low kicks? A low kick, if the opponent mires a low kick, you can counter them. A good example of that, if you want to see that, is Magomed Ankalaev versus Ion Cutelaba. Magomed Ankalaev went for a kick, and he stood there, admired it, like, wow, that was a nice kick I landed there. Boom, Cutelaba countered it. You don't want to admire it, you want to get out of the way after you're kicked. Now, I haven't seen Gabriel Green punish this, Gabe Green, have punished this. Does he have good or bad optics for winning decisions? It's sort of a mix, I feel like, because he's good forward pressure, right? But he gets hit a lot, so it kind of cancels it out. It's just kind of up in the air. I'd say neither. Not good, not bad. In the clinch game, I haven't seen too much clinch from him. I have seen him, however, dig for underhooks. I saw him reverse many times versus Rowe. They just reversed each other several times with underhooks. He also got sort of like body lock takedown from a clinch and a standing arm triangle that he used to get a takedown. And this is also versus Philip Rowe. I don't rate him a best clinch fighter, but it's still interesting and important to see this. I haven't seen him have any good head position in the clinch. Head movement, I mean, he'll move it to the side, roll it for punches, but it's still not the best. Footwork wise, he's fairly fast when moving backwards. Sometimes he'll avoid a kick, but usually it's just forward pressure. He sometimes switches stances, and I think him being in southpaw can help him versus an orthodox fighter to land that KO against the cage. He doesn't really circle or like tries to be technical. It's just forward, like walking forward and be that volume puncher, wear you down, pressure you, make you tired, get your against the cage, and like try to cut you off. For submissions, like he is a rear naked choke. All 6 of his submissions is by rear naked choke. It's the only way he gets submissions. Takedowns, that's this kind of body lock thing I said while he has an underhook. And then he used this standing arm triangle versus roll, where he got a takedown. That's the only way I've seen him get takedowns. I have to see too much of his top control because I said he doesn't get many takedowns. But what I did notice was that he seems to get the worst of it. Like, even if he gets the top control, like he did against Philip Rowe, he was reversed and swept. So he really doesn't want to be on the ground. His chin and recovery is a bit of a question mark. I assume his recovery is great because he looked fine after Johan had dropped him. So his chin seems alright, right? Because it was a perfect shot. And when he got dropped by the elbow back in 2016, November 2016 versus Abafo, that was not just an elbow. That was a flurry of punches, several combinations, and then he finished him off with an elbow. Now his fight IQ, he has a good corner because versus Johan, they told him to turn it up after round 1. And he seemed like, yeah, he's going to do that. Is he game? Is he a game fighter? Yes. I feel he's a game fighter. I feel like he's going to come forward. He's not afraid of you. And with these game fighters, right, you got to completely outclass them or finish them. Otherwise, you're not going to beat them. But I do feel like Garry has the potential to outclass him. Like, somewhat. I just think he's too technical here, which I'm going to get into. Now, the win conditions for 𝐥𝐤𝐤 is a forward pressure, break guys with the punches, or get a takedown to get a submission. But usually it is the volume, it is a forward pressure, so you can land heavy when you cannot move, when he's got you stuck against the cage. The way to beat this kind of fighter, like the fighters, the type of fighters this fighter is good against, right? Is obviously fighters with bad cardio because he will push them, walking backwards tires you out. Possibly where a fighter will win round 1 against him and then you can live bet him. I just feel like he's just a good live betting fighter. And then I feel like he's good versus mentally big fighters that he can break. So to beat him, completely outclass him, have a good jab because he's weak to the jab, circle around him, have a good leg kick defense so you cannot smash your leg like he did versus Philip Rowe, but especially a good jab like Rodriguez had, and just be a better striker. Simply be slow but like be composed and outclass him. And then another way to do it is to dominate him with top control on the ground because he's just not good on the ground when you're on top of him. Now, if you look at Iron Garry here, what I find interesting about him is that I feel like he has some hype behind him. I feel like some people are a bit low on him. I bet him in his debut against Jordan Williams. I felt a bit lucky there to hit that one because that was definitely not looking too good. I rewatched it for taping this fight. It wasn't as bad as I remember it, but he was minus 400. Seems about right. Maybe he could have been a slightly bigger favorite, but it's hard to cap with these low percentages. But my point is, he's not as bad as people say. He's young and he's developing fast. Guys, when you have people in their 20s, you can expect to see improvements. Look at Natalia Silva the other day. She was a plus 200. She was out for 2 years, from 23 years old. The age had fade and below. And now she was 25. Around 2 years difference of training, and she looked phenomenal. Phenomenal against Jasmine. Absolutely phenomenal. We had Jocelyn Edwards. She has never really done for underhooks. She's never been good in the clinch to defend takedowns. She's been training with Valentina, Claudia Gadella, and so on. It was around a year ago she's been fighting. I think she was now 27, and boom, she was a lot better in the clinch versus Pascal. Now, I know Pascal sucks, but the point is, people in their 20s, you can expect to see improvements if they've been out for around a year or 2 years. Now, if they've been out for 3 years, I'll probably be a little bit concerned about what kind of fighter to get and maybe pass. But 2 years, I feel it's okay. But this is again where you can check the social media and so on. The smaller details becomes important. Now, 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞, he's at a good gym. He's at Stanford MMA with Henry Hooft. Solid striking coach overall. I have no read on how good his chin is. Like, he's been busted up a few times, but he hasn't been necessarily like dropped. How reliable is he? Like, he's the sort of fighter, he wants to fight on the outside, use range, kicks, a lot of kicks, cut angles, and if he's pressured, right, he will move well side to side, and if you get him against the cage, he will duck under, go for an underhook, go for a clinch. It's really nice to see this. But straight shots, for some reason, despite his range, busts him up. Like, Jordan Williams did this, but hooks won't catch him. Like, it's just hard because he's going to be away. And he also has that fast, snappy jab of himself. Now, cardio-wise, he went 5 rounds with Grant, and his cardio seemed fine to me. He even took over in round 5, even more so than earlier. Like, he won all 5 rounds. Now, versus 𝐷arian he also took over in round 3 as 𝐷arian he faded. So, I feel like his cardio is solid. His defense, striking defense, is mostly relies on the footwork. Like I said, he likes to duck under, move side to side, trying to anticipate where you are, and cut angles so you can hit with these really long lips he has, these straight shots. The types of strikes that just hurt him, it's just the long straight jabs that have busted him off. But Gabe Green doesn't have that. I mean, maybe he can sometimes throw a jab or something, but it's really mostly hooks and so on. He doesn't have that long, good jab. His kicking defense, he's really weak to leg kicks. Like, if you went for leg kicks, you could stop his movement, chop that leg down, because he doesn't move his leg away much. But he hasn't been forced to deal with this much. But if you can do this, I think you can really slow him down and hurt him badly. His takedown defense is solid. He's very tall, he's hard to take down with clinch. He's shown some good get-up game, at least in the Grant fight he did. He's never been submitted. Like, Grant tried to submit him, but he couldn't. He was meant to submit him, but he couldn't. Offensive striking, he has a good jab. Nice right hook he KO'd Jordan Williams with. He likes to counter with straight shots, cut angles, and he does a very good job at this. And I expect him to get even better at this, because Henry Hooft is a great striking coach. I know he had a rough one at one point, but I feel like he's been looking really good lately, Henry Hooft, in his gym. So I expect improvements. And Garry, he also had a nice right hand versus Ahmed. He went on the attack right, he landed right hand, and then he like sort of feinted right hand straight, like landed right hand, feinted right hand, while he landed a right high kick and knocked Ahmed out. So that's really nice, like he disguised that right high kick. Speaking of kicks, good low kicks, good body kicks, very good high kicks like head kicks, and he just lands a lot of kicks overall, like a good mix of kicks, and he's very actively using them. Does he catch kicks or counter kicks when his opponent uses them? Like, I haven't really seen this from what I remember now, actually. No, I haven't seen this. Does he have good or bad forward pressure to win decisions? I do feel like he has pretty solid decision optics, because he looks so clean when he's fighting usually. And you can also guess that the UFC wants him to win. That necessarily will help him win, but I just think he will look fairly clean unless you really catch him against the cage. Now, his clinch, he's shown some nice shoulder strike in the clinch. He did this versus Grant in round 5, sort of Conor McGregor style. He will dig for underhooks, he will use the knees to the head. He's so tall and long, right? So he can get his knees up to his opponent's head. And sometimes he will even have double unders. He can reverse the position. He's not super fast at getting these unders, but he will do it. And he's just hard to take down. He also does a good job at escaping from a clinch when he wants to, because obviously he doesn't really want to be in the clinch too much. Head position versus Grant, he showed, versus Grant he showed really, really good head position. Head movement is sort of okay, but I feel like he relies more on his footwork a lot more, because he's just so good at cutting angles. He's good at knowing where he is around the cage. Sometimes he will stumble against the cage, but overall I feel it's solid. Submission wise, he has a rear naked choke. Versus Grant, he almost had a dash choke on him. He also had a standing arm triangle. He's shown a decent stop defense himself. Like when Grant, he pulled guard, then Gabe was able to escape an armbar attempt. Takedown wise, versus 𝐥𝐻𝐿, he was able to get a trip takedown. He got a side control. He got the back of 𝐥𝐻𝐿, locked up a body triangle with his feet, like with his legs, to keep 𝐥𝐻𝐿 in place. 𝐥𝐻𝐿 first got out a bit later in the round, so he had most of the control in that round. Now versus Grant, he ducked under a left hook and got an easy double leg, so he has reactive takedowns. That's important to notice. Reactive takedown, guys, always remember this. It's a good way to remember if they can do something when they come in. Again, reactive just means you react to what your opponent is doing, just for you guys who does not know what that is. Top control, he has some really solid ground and pound. A little bit like Anderson Silva style, like he will stand on top of you while maybe you have your legs in the air, and he would land these really, really long precision shots on you. He hasn't done this much, but he will do it. I feel like his chin has been okay. Like, I haven't really seen him hurt that much. I've just seen him busted up. And I feel like he got this young man spirit. He's eager to fight. But I'm not exactly sure how good his chin is. Fight IQ wise, he has a good corner. I think he's fighting smart. Yeah, he's being tagged, but he fights smart. And versus Grant, right, in that 5-round fight, Grant was trying to taunt him and make fun of him, but he just kept doing his thing, and he 50-45'd him. He won all 5 rounds. Is Iron Garry game? Nah, I don't think he's a game fighter or anything like that. I just think he's a technical fighter. I think he's a bit better than people give him credit for. Win conditions for Garry, like, he's meant to win with these long limbs, right? High kicks, do a mix of kicks, win by decision, move on the outside, use his superior jabs, footwork, cardio, keep it standing due to his excellent takedown defense. So who is he good against? Fighters who gas, slow fighters, fighters who won't land these straight long jabs, fighters weak to kicks, head kicks, body kicks, and fighters who can't really cut him off, and then fighters who doesn't land leg kicks. So how to beat him? Land these strong leg jabs, bust him up, and chop that leg down. Chop that leg down so you stop his footwork, right? Or you can even maybe get a leg calf kick TKO. Cut him off guard if you can. Anticipate where he's going to come. And be prepared for him to level change, because he will level change if you come in and clinch you. You have to be prepared for that as well. If he level change, if you can time, you go back, and boom, you can catch him with a right hook or something like that. That could work too. Now, as I said, gym-wise, he trains with Henry Hooft, good striking coach, trains at Stanford, MMA, it's a good gym. Now, if you take a look at the odds here, right? Let's take a look here. So, Iron Garry is implied 63% and Gabe Green 41%. I do feel that line could maybe be a little bit wider. Maybe you can cap Garry at maybe a 70%. Like, I thought it would be, I would like Green here and have a big bet on him and something like that, but I feel like it's risky to do. Iron Garry by decision could be interesting too. I feel like that's pretty plus, I think it's plus 200, so that seems pretty big. I don't think necessarily he's just going to KO Green. He's game. I said Green is game. And he didn't KO Weeks, and I think the over there was quite a big plus odds. But yeah, I'm gonna say Iron Garry here by decision. I do think the line could be maybe a little bit wider. Alright guys, so last fight on the prelims here, Brad Riddell versus Jalin Turner, could be an amazing fight. If you haven't, do yourself a favor, watch the fight with Brad Riddell versus Jamie Mullarkey. It's absolutely one of the most amazing fights of all time. Both fighters gave it their all. And I feel this is important because Brad Riddell is a better of him and Mullarkey. We just saw Jalin Turner take out Jamie Mullarkey, now he may take out Brad Riddell. I really like Brad Riddell. He seems to lose round 1 versus grapplers. Like, he lost versus Muster and Silva in round 1, and he won round 2 and 3. I'm a little bit unsure how good his ground game is, like how good a fighter is he versus a high-level submission artist. We're probably not going to find that out against Turner, even though he can submit people. Now, Brad Riddell, he's tough, doable, has a solid right hand. He lost that right hand. He lands it a lot. Good low kicks, strong in the clinch, but he's slow. And he lacks footwork. He's so slow with his footwork. It's like, wow, it's much lower than I expected. And he takes a lot of damage, but he's reliable. But taking damage is not good for your career. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. Now, cardio-wise, he seems to slow versus Silva after a lot of grappling exchanges. His striking defense, high guard, stay on the outside. If the opponents enter a hook battle, he will gladly enter and throw down with you, like he did with Drew Dober. There's type of strikes as a drop Riddell. That's a spinning back kick by Fimbul that KO'd him. He was also hurt by Dober when both landed right hands. He seems doable when he's like, because he's like, he will clinch, he will go for a takedown on Dober and land elbows. Like when he went for a takedown on Dober, he went for a double leg. Dober was landing elbows, and Riddell was eating him. So seems to have a decent chin. He did get dropped by a left hand though by Dober. It landed flush on him, but Riddell overall does a good job of like going for a double leg to stay safe when that happens. That's what he did. That's what he did versus Dober. He was clinching a lot and managed to be fine after the first round. Now his kick defense. I've seen him and his opponent kick at the same time, and his legs are thick, they're strong, but his weakness is the fast jabs and kick to the body. He does a good job at countering low kicks, because versus Fimbul, right? When Fimbul went for a takedown, when Fimbul went for a low kick, but Riddell utilized this and he went for a takedown. And another time when Fimbul went for another low kick, but Riddell went for a counter punch. So he does counter low kicks well. Takedown defense and get up game. His get up game is solid. He's often able to get into the clinch, get a better position. Like versus Silva, he used a whistle. When Silva went for a takedown, he got a better position. And he also showed that he can sprawl. He at least did that versus Silva. Now his submission defense. He was submitted by a quick armbar in 2018, but otherwise I feel like his submission defense seems pretty strong. He hasn't really dealt with anyone though who could really submit him. Like Silva was okay, but he was nothing special. He wasn't a super high level fighter. Offensive striking wise, he has a good jab. He uses his jab a lot, but he doesn't really land. Like versus Rafael Fimbul, he was trying to land the jab, right? But he didn't land it because he only threw the jab. But when he both threw the jab and followed up with a combo, then he started landing. But the jab alone is not good. But it's not necessarily a bad jab, he just needs to follow up on it. He did that sometimes, but sometimes he didn't. And you want reliability in tape, guys. You want reliability. You don't want to just think that, oh, now he's gonna fight exactly like you want him to, or like how he should fight. He has a good right hand, as I mentioned earlier. Like he uses that on a lot of his opponents. He landed on Silva and Dober. Especially on Dober, it landed 0-1, 0-1, 0-1 again. And that's impressive to hurt Dober because Dober has an iron chin. And overall, he just has a good mix of punches and kicks. He also uses an uppercut, but that was only versus Silva, I saw that. But yeah, he has a fairly short range for his strike, so he needs to push forward when he does it. Kicking game, good low kick, good body kick. But especially the low kick is nice. Does he counter kicks? Yes, he does. As said, he countered the low kick on Fimbul twice. Does he have good or bad optics? Like he will stay on the outside, and then he often takes over late. Despite him slowing himself. I feel like his clinch pressure and how he would put it on fighters late is good for the optics in the judge's eyes. Yeah. Clinch game, he would use knees in the clinch. He's very strong physically. He's often fine in the clinch. He's a solid clinch fighter, but I feel like it's mostly because of how strong he is. Like, I don't really see him land that many punches, elbows, or knees, anything like that. He's just strong in the clinch. But occasionally he will use some knees. Head movement wise, he mostly relies on his high guard. It's hard to get too close on him, but like jabs and long range strikes is probably his weakness. I've not noticed any important head movement really, neither offensively or defensively. Footwork, he's just so slow. Like wow, he's slow. Like he's just plodding forward. Like yeah, he can rush with a combo sometimes, but it's not like he's circle of a cage. He's just fairly predictable. Often he will get control on the outside like Fimbul did to him. He, like, submission wise, he doesn't go for subs. He's a striker. Takedowns, he's shown a nice double leg versus Dober. Even though Dober got right back up, it's still a nice double leg. Top game, he's using up on ground, as said. Chin and recovery. He has a solid chin, good recovery. He's also a game fighter. They're just hard to finish. Fight IQ. He has a good team, you know, he's trained with 𝐤𝐤𝐤 and 𝐵𝐷 and so on. I feel like he's smart, you know, he will dig for the clinch, he'll dig for the double legs when he was hurt, like versus Dober. But otherwise, he pretty much does the same thing every fight. I don't feel like he really adapts to each fight, he just does the same thing. Is he game? Yes, he's a game fighter. So what's the winning conditions for Brad Riddell? That's the decision, keep it standing, land power punches, and ride out the storm of being the tougher man and then take over. So he's a good light bet fighter. The type of fighters he's good against? Well, fighters who ain't game like Mustafa. Mustafa wasn't game. And then gassy fighter like Silva. Highly technical strikers will just outclass him, like Rafael Fimbul did. A fight where he can use his physique well is also ideal. The fights he's gonna lose is just against superior strikers, especially with good cardio. Someone who can just outclass him like Fimbul did. And a long-range striker with a decent chin may also do it. Now, I know Fimbul may gas like he did versus Bobby Green, but that was a really high-paced fight. I hadn't researched Brad Riddell too intensely for that fight, but doing research now for this fight against Jalin Turner, holy shit. Around picking match, Fimbul was a steal against Brad Riddell in that fight. Now, Jalin Turner, he gets a lot of shit. I bet him versus 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞. A lot of people took 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 in that fight, but Turner is 27 now. He's leveling up. He's improving. I took him against Brock Weaver too, if I recall correctly, because I mean Brock Weaver he's just not good. I don't have any. Oh, I took Meta against Turner, but that was a big mistake. I got caught in my hype there. That was bad. I don't have any read on how good submission defense Turner has, like versus a very high level submission artist. We're not gonna find out against Brad Riddell because I just said that he's a striker. He's not a submission guy. How reliable is Turner? Turner is a fighter who's maturing. He's improved a lot recently. He still gets tagged, but he's improving, which is expected at his age. Cardio-wise, he gets tired in round 2, mid-round 2 or so. He often needs a finish, or he will be finished. He cannot win by decision. It's going to be very, very unlikely. He's going to have to, I don't know, sit in top control, or the other fighter completely gassed, or have a lot of knockdowns without finishing it. But it's hard to see. He needs to finish fight, I think. He needs to finish fights, otherwise he's going to lose. And grappling can really tire him out. Let me just go to this one over here. Striking defense wise, I think being southpaw helps him versus orthodox fighters. Land the KO, like he will land the KO easier. His main defense is that he has the octagon control, like he will pressure and he has the reach and length. He can be a bit awkward to fight against. The strikes that have dropped him, he doesn't have the best defense. He's been hit by several punches, like he got hit by the left hand by Brock Weaver. Kicking defense wise, he doesn't check leg kicks at all. Like I haven't seen him check any leg kicks. When he faced Medicated leg kick, he didn't check that either. Takedown defense and get up game. He's tall, so he's hard to take down. He's got good clinch work. He will reverse. He's strong. He did get taken down by 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 in round 1 at the end of it, and he never got up. So it is definitely his weak side if he gets taken down. Submission defense, he's never been submitted. He was kind of close by getting leg locked for a brief moment by Brock Weaver, but he escaped it fairly easily. Offensive striking, he has good elbows and knees in the clinch. He lands a lot of knees to a body, also in the middle of the octagon, which is a bit unusual, which is nice to see. That really hurt 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞, for instance. He seems to also be able to generate power, like without winding up at all, like just boom out of the blue. He has a really good right hook. He dropped Brock Weaver in round 1 with this one, and he also dropped Brock in round 2, where he would let him back up and then finish him. Which is smart. Why would you necessarily just go to a ground with him straight away? He also hit Medic with some good body shots, and I feel like Medic was especially weak to body shots. He always has bad cardio, and body shots just saps energy. If you have a fighter who has bad cardio versus a fighter with better cardio than you, go for a body. It's gonna sap them, it's gonna drain them. Knees, of course, is also good. Versus Medic, he had a straight left, and when he goes for finishes, he will use both hands, both right and left hands, to land as much volume as possible and go for a finish like he did versus Medic. Kicking game wise, he had a spinning back kick that he landed on �𝐤𝐤𝐞. He had good front push kicks versus Brock, and overall he has some solid heavy low kicks. Does he catch kicks? I haven't really seen that. Good pressure to win decisions? No, because he gasses. Clinch game. Turner has used the clinch to drag Brock down when Brock was very hurt. He will also reverse him with clinch and land good knees in the clinch. So yeah, he's a decent clinch fighter. Head position with clinch, I haven't really seen that. Head movement, really not much head movement. Like, this guy gets tagged a lot. Like, I feel like his reach is as big as Amanda's, and just how tall he is. Footwork, he has a good, he does a good job of keeping it at range. He will occasionally get into some firefights, like he did versus 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞, where they both got tagged. Turner got a bit wobbly there, but it's not like he doesn't have any defensive footwork. Just sometimes he gets into a firefight, but He's okay there. It's not terrible. Jiu-jitsu wise, he has a rear naked choke, and then he has the arm triangle choke. Takedowns, he used a high kick from Medic that he caught, and then he used that to get the takedown, but into side guard. Otherwise, I haven't really seen him get too many takedowns. Like the one against Brock Weaver, that was kind of made. Like Brock Weaver was already out of it. Top game, he had really good ground and pound versus 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞. He did well on 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞. He tried to pull guard, and Turner just got on top. It was a bit weird. Like 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 was just way too small. 𝐿, he has been knocked out 3 times. One of them by 𝐿, and that's okay. His chin seems okay. Like he can get wobbled, but it's not like he has a downright bad chin. It's not great either. He doesn't seem to get too scared when he's hurt. Like versus Mulaki, he just kept pressing forward when he was tagged. Fight IQ wise, I feel like he's improving. He let Brock up, which was the easiest way to beat him. And I remember an article or something like that, an interview I read about, where he said that a fighter like Mulaki that got hit a lot, that's not gonna be good when he faces when he was gonna face a fighter like Jalin Turner. And he was right about that. I bet him there. Is he game? Nah, he's not a game fighter. He's average. And he does slow down. He does slow down round 2. Win conditions: KO or KO and club and sub. I feel like it's mostly his win condition. The type of fighters he's good at: weak chin fighters, inferior strikers, and fighters he can bully with his size. And just fighters who eats a lot of damage, basically. And Mulaki does that, and Riddell does that too. But I do feel his chin is a little bit better. Now, the type of fighters that he's probably gonna lose to, fighters with an iron chin, fighters who can gas him out, take him into deep waters like round 2, round 3, and win by decision. If you can win early enough in round 2, then you can take 0-1 round 2 and win that round, then win round 3. Or if you can take him down, that'll be his biggest weakness. Now, if you take a look at when he gasses, what happens? He slows down. His offense is way less. So 1.5 rounds, around 7.5 minutes. That's when he slows down. That's when he's in trouble. Like he may survive, but then you're out in something like that. He has had to do so much damage on you in round 2, so he still gets it. But I mean, judges usually just look at the last 2 minutes. I mean, he did. Like some thought he should have won versus Fimbul. He did go to a decision there, but otherwise, I mean, officially he has lost all his decisions. If you take a look at the odds, Turner has shortened a lot. Odds say around 60% implied probability, 43% for Brad Riddell. I kind of like Turner here, but Brad Riddell is a much better fighter than. It's going to be a tougher fight than versus Jimmy Mulaki, but Brad Riddell does eat a lot of punches. It's going to be a fight where Brad Riddell is going to come from behind. Maybe Brad Riddell is going to go up to plus 200. This is a fight I think you should live bet. And if you want a good live bet, join my group. I said I'm post live bets there. I'm often posting very good live bets there. You can also see my third party track record. It's in my link on Twitter and also on my website. Anyway, yeah, I feel like this is the way to go. Maybe if you want to, you can bet Turner pre-bet. Be ready to live bet Brad Riddell. Turner in the distance pops you can look at 2. Upward in the distance could also be sneaky, possibly by decision too. I know a lot of people might also have played the does not go to decision, but I feel like this is a potentially good live bet fight on Brad Riddell. I am still going to go with Turner. I don't like that Brad Riddell is taking so much damage, so I do think that Turner potentially could get him out here. I do think it's a dangerous fight. I feel like if you're betting Turner at these odds, the value is minimal, but I do understand if you want to play him here. But yeah, I'm going to go with Turner in the distance, going to be my prediction, but I think the live bet fight is the way to play this fight. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up the prelims here. I think that's all I have for you today. Was a little bit longer than I wanted to. I'm still getting used to this. As said, I do want to give you in-depth breakdowns. Next week, I will be posting on Thursday, so it is going to be way earlier, so you can get much more value out of this. Any feedback is always welcome. I'm going to be dealing my main card on Friday. Have been trying to catch up on a lot of tape here. I just cashed a prop on Martina Gingerova in PFL just now. Actually, she looked minus 2,000. If you want my picks, visit my website. If you want my live bets, visit my website there. You can also catch me on Twitter. If you just want some betting knowledge, hit me up. I love talking fights. I love educating people. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now, guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Fimbul Fight Picks Podcast. Want more? Go to FimbulFightPicks.com to access all of our premium bets and sports betting packages. Got questions? Email us at anders@fimbulfightpicks.com.